So often we hear about self-care in a way that sounds like pampering to me. And so I'm kind of curious to hear from you. How do you define self-care? What is that to you?
I was actually, it was so funny that we were having a conversation, and the myth, I'll start with the myth, that it's self-indulgent, that it's selfish. I watched my mother, like, she was a stay-at-home mom, and she literally didn't seem like she ever took time out for herself. And so as a child watching this, you know, I'm understanding, okay, this is what it means to be a wife and a mother. You don't take time out for yourself. It's, you know, and even though it wasn't explicit that she said this, but it was implied that that's not what you do. You take care of your children and you take care of your family.
So tell me a bit about the myths of self-care. What do you think those are?
Right, that it's about getting your nails done, getting your hair done, getting a massage, you know, and that's about self-care.
And so why?
All externalized.
Why is that not self-care? Why do you think that that's not a good representation of self-care?
Well, I'll say for myself that there have been times where I have had a heavy heart at the nail salon. And after I finished getting my nails done, they were pretty, but my heart wasn't any lighter.
Okay.
You know, so I've had, and I mean, my hair is impeccably styled and still feeling what I'm feeling. You know, exhausted, overwhelmed, frustrated, and my hair looks amazing and I look fabulous stepping out of the salon, but not feeling any better inside.
So I'm kind of hearing you talk about self-care in a way that is not about the external. It's not about how well groomed you are, how pretty your nails are, but it's something that is really about how you're changing and loving yourself inside. Is that an accurate definition of self-care for you?
Absolutely.
Okay.
And much of what I do, my self-care regimen starts in the morning. You know, I have an AM ritual. You know, I get up in the morning, I have a glass of lemon water, and that's the first thing I put on my stomach. I meditate. I sit in meditation. I sit in silence. Sometimes I have to use a guided meditation because my mind is a little wild that morning, and so I use a guided meditation. I journal. You know, I get in touch with myself. I stay aware of me because I do 5 million things. You know my schedule.
Yes, I do.
And I don't have a clone. You know, I'm working on getting one, but I don't have one yet. And so I do a lot. And so that time in the morning is for me to, you know, practice some self-awareness,
right?
You know, so that I can go throughout my day and do the things that I need to do.
Those are really great, concrete self-love tips, right? So you start your day loving on yourself by caring for yourself. You start your day with some time to pause, to reflect, to have some lemon water, all really simple, easy things to do. To journal, spend some time writing before you actually get your day going. And so I would say most people wouldn't say that having lemon water is self-care or pampering. But the way I'm hearing you talk about it, it's really about how you're feeding your soul in a way that kind of energizes you throughout the day.
Exactly. I'm paying attention to myself.
Okay.
You know, and much of the time, I can speak for myself. I will go through my day, and although I'm intentional in what I do, I'm not always present with myself, within myself.
So say a bit more about that. What's the difference between being intentional and being present?
I'm intentional, like I know I have a task to do, or I know I'm sitting in front of someone and there's some things that I have to do. But in terms of being present with myself, asking myself, how are you feeling about what you're doing? How are you feeling while you're doing it? How are you feeling after? And so I noticed for me that if I don't do that, by the end of my day or my week, I'm depleted. I'm done. I'm on E. And like not realizing that half the week I was running on fumes.
Right.
You know, and then it takes a toll on me.
Definitely.
You know, so I have to stay present with myself, aware, being in my body, in the moment. Because, you know, my mind goes a million miles a minute. So I'm in yesterday, last week, next month, 2 years from now.
Yes.
And I'm very rarely in the moment in my body where I need to be. You know what I'm saying?
So then self-care, it sounds like self-care really is about being present in your body and also knowing your emotions, knowing how you're feeling about what you're doing at that time, and even taking the time to reflect on what you just did. And it reminds me of the importance of saying no and kind of pausing to take time to be able to do it, which I know there's another episode about that, about how to say no, but you're saying you really have to take good care of yourself and know your emotions so that you can then decide the next action.
Exactly. Like I look at that like in terms of food. I look at it as how am I fueling my body for the day? You know, what do I have to do versus how much fuel am I putting in my body?
Right.
You know, and then also how I feed my mind, my body, and my spirit. You know, which is why I read literature in the morning that, you know, inspires, empowers, uplifts me. I listen to music in the morning that, you know, does the same. So it's important, like I look at all those areas in my life and ask myself, what have I deposited, you know, back into me?
Yeah.
You know, for all the expenditures I make, what am I depositing back in me? And that to me is the definition of self-love, is being able to make those deposits into myself and being able to care for me, be compassionate, be empathetic, be patient and kind with myself. You know, because I can do it for everyone else, but not for me.
Speak a little bit about people who say, well, taking all that time for yourself is really selfish. If I'm taking the time in the morning to journal and have water, and then during the day I'm taking time to think about how I'm feeling, there's all these things I have to do and all these people I have to take care of. So taking that time for myself is really selfish, and I don't want to be a selfish woman. How do you address that? What do you think about that? What do you do with that for people who are struggling? I would love to take some time for myself, but to do so means I'm being selfish, and I'm not a selfish person. How do you reconcile that?
If I want to complete whatever the task is and show up for this person that I love and do all these things, right, I want to show up as the best version of myself. And if I am running on E, if I am running on fumes, I am not the best version of myself. I may be able to come in and mechanically do the task, but I'm not the best version of me. And so I think that that's why it's important to, you know, refuel, recharge, and do all of those things so I can show up for the people that I love as the best version of me. Not begrudgingly, not overwhelmed, not tired, because I can't fully be present in the moment. In those very important moments, as you know, working with people in their most vulnerable times. I can't show up as the best version of me if I've not deposited what I need into me.
So I think that's a really great point and tip, that it's about caring for yourself and it's about self-love, but it's also about loving other people. That when you're taking time to replenish yourself, that you really are also able to then love others even more. And I think that is a really useful kind of perspective and tip for people who really struggle with thinking self-care is selfish. It actually is the foundation of really showing and demonstrating love to other people.
Yeah, I agree.
So you have this incredible self-care routine that I know I'm going to take pieces from, and I imagine a lot of people watching will take some suggestions from. But has there ever been a time in your life when you weren't so good at it?
Of course.
I can tell you my story. You tell me yours.
The crazy days. No. There was a time in my life, because as I was starting out in the beginning of what we were talking about, I modeled after what I saw my mother do. Right? So, of course, these conversations that we are having, our mothers didn't have these conversations. And so I think that part of what I did was I modeled what I saw my mother do, right? And so in modeling what she did, there was no instruction manual that came with it or a warning label that said, hey, when you do this, you get depleted. And that's what happens, but there wasn't one. So I modeled what I saw her do. So I didn't know that I needed to stop and refuel, recharge, and I needed to make deposits for all of the withdrawals that were being made. I didn't know that. And I thought it was selfish, and I thought it was self-indulgent, and I thought that I could do all the things. My mother stayed at home. I worked full-time, cultivating a business, had 2 children, and I'm still trying to do what I saw her model. And it was unrealistic. And I didn't know that, I'm thinking I could do all the things without the clone, and I couldn't. And it left me feeling frustrated, overwhelmed, tired, and I couldn't show up and be the best version of me to my children or to anyone else.
So what was your breaking point, and then what did you do differently?
My breaking point was Okay. I remember I was actually walking down the street. I'm originally from New York, so I was walking down the street on Vanderbilt Avenue in Brooklyn. I still remember this day. And I had this sinus infection that I could not get rid of. And I felt horrible. My diet was horrible, but I was definitely, doing my job and, showing up all the places. And this woman, random woman, universe, random woman says, hey, come here for a minute. And so she was an elder, so I trusted her. So here I go, and I go up to her. And so she starts talking to me about what I'm putting in my body. And she started talking to me about, how often do I cleanse my body and, all these things. How's my energy level? Started asking me all these, just random woman.
Right.
And as she's asking me the questions, I'm thinking about my answers. And I started thinking about how little I give back to myself. And at the time, I was working for an alternative to incarceration program with women. And I talked about this stuff all the time with them. And then as I'm listening to myself answer the questions, I realized maybe you need to apply some of the things that you've been teaching, because you're not showing up as the best version of yourself.
Something that you were talking about that I just want to kind of point out is that there was an event, something happened, and I think that's true for most of us as women. Like we hit a wall, there is a breaking point. For me, I lost my hair. I had stress-induced alopecia at 24 because I was trying to follow the footsteps of my mother and grandmother. So usually there's something that triggers us that we say we can't and don't want to live life this way anymore. And so for people who think it might be selfish to take care of themselves, I don't want you to lose your hair. I don't want you to have a sinus infection for however many months. But if that's what it takes to kind of shift you back to what is going to take care of yourself, I think that is important. So think about what is your limit when you've had enough of not loving yourself. And then how can you start implementing some small daily practices that show you love. So thank you for joining us. I'm so grateful to have you here, Cassandra. Thank you for your time and all of your wisdom and insight. It's been really, really wonderful. So thank you. Thank you. And if you want to learn more about me and myself and work as a therapist, then visit us at theladipogroup.com. And if you want to see more great episodes like this, check out lovenowmedia.com.